There is a question that echoes through every age of prosperity. Did no one see it coming? People always wonder what it felt like in those final hours before everything collapsed, before the phones went silent, before fortunes evaporated, before America's dream cracked wide open. The truth is, the crash of 1929 wasn't a lightning strike out of nowhere. It was a slow-motion train wreck, predicted, whispered about, and ignored by almost everyone. Because in the 1920s, America wasn't just rich, it was drunk on the illusion of endless growth. Factories buzzed, jazz spilled out of hidden bars, women danced in shorter dresses, cars rolled off assembly lines like magic, radios hummed in every home. The message was simple: the future will always be better. And when enough people believe that, reality quietly begins to rot beneath the surface. This is the story of how belief itself became the most dangerous currency in the world, and how it all burned down in a single week. After World War I, while Europe was left in ruins, America was untouched, confident, booming, unstoppable. Mass production had transformed everything. A tailor in Brooklyn, a secretary in Chicago, a banker on Wall Street, all convinced they were living in the golden age. But underneath the progress, something sinister was forming: speculation. Pure, unfiltered gambling disguised as investment. People weren't buying stocks because they believed in companies. They were buying because they believed the price would rise tomorrow, and that was enough. Then came margin buying, the devil's bargain of the decade. With just $1,000, anyone could control $10,000 worth of stock. As long as prices rose, everyone looked like a genius. But when they didn't, the trap slammed shut. By 1929, over 10 million Americans were in the market. The streets buzzed with talk of easy riches. Bankers, waiters, housewives, all dreaming of wealth built on borrowed money. The stock ticker's steady hum became the soundtrack of a nation. Every rise confirmed the fantasy. This time, the old rules don't apply. Economists warned it couldn't last, but who listens to the cautious voice when everyone else is getting rich? The few who dared to question the mania were mocked, fired, or ignored. In the fever of wealth, prudence became stupidity. By late September, the system was trembling. Factories slowed, car sales dropped. Reality was knocking, and no one wanted to open the door. Then October came. Monday the 21st, a small dip. Tuesday, a bigger one. By Thursday, panic. Phones jammed, brokers shouted over one another. The ticker machines couldn't keep up, printing prices that were already hours out of date. People sold everything, desperate to escape the burning building before it collapsed. That day became known as Black Thursday, but the real nightmare hadn't even begun. October 28, 1929. The morning opened with a silence that felt wrong. And then, it began again, a tidal wave of selling. Stocks plunged over 13% in a few hours. Families lost everything. Bankers watched decades of work erased in an afternoon. Men who thought they were rich now owed more than they'd ever owned. When the ticker finally stopped printing that night, the prices it showed were meaningless. The market had already fallen further, deeper than anyone could process. The American dream had shattered. What followed wasn't just a crash, it was a collapse of trust, the one thing every financial system depends on. Banks failed by the hundreds, businesses died, jobs vanished. Ordinary people who'd believed in the promise of easy wealth were left with nothing but debt. The roaring 20s had gone silent, and from that silence emerged a decade of despair, the Great Depression. Unemployment soared to 25%. Families lost their homes. Hope itself became a luxury. It took a world war to restart the engines of the economy. Every financial disaster has the same story told in different clothes: a time of abundance, a chorus of warnings, and a crowd that refuses to listen, because the sound of money being made will always be louder than the sound of caution. The crash of 1929 wasn't just about numbers or stocks. It was a story about human nature, about belief, and how easily it becomes delusion. And as long as people convince themselves that this time is different, history will keep proving them wrong. If this story made you think differently about wealth, greed, and how fragile systems really are, subscribe to History of Finance. Because the same mistakes are being repeated right now, just under new names, with new players. And the next crash might already be closer than you think.